We welcome you to this Garden Master CD. The purpose of this training video is to show you how easy it is to use the Garden Master. To do this, we'll start by showing you the options on the main menu, and then we'll actually go through the 9 steps to plan a basic garden. To go to the Garden Master's main menu, select the Launch Garden Master option from this opening screen that automatically launches when you insert the Garden Master CD into your computer. After a few seconds, the main menu screen appears. Notice that there are 2 options on the menu bar at the top left, including File and Help. Clicking on the File drop-down menu, you can select Working Path if you wish to place your garden design somewhere else on your computer other than the default C drive. Remember, once you design a garden plan, if at some future time you cannot find it, merely go to this option to check it, and if necessary, change the working path to where your file will be assigned. Clicking on the Help drop-down menu, you are given other options such as Contents, which takes you to an independent help window, registering your CD, which we highly recommend to receive the password to open any bonus items on this CD, and information about this CD, including version number and so forth. There are also icon selections on the main menu, including Designer, Training, and Help. We'll talk about the Designer function in a moment, but first, let's talk about the other options. Clicking on the Training icon, you will see a list of training-related items. This list is expandable, and by clicking on the plus sign, additional sublists are displayed. Once you have drilled down to individual items, merely click on an item and then press this View button to open that item. Clicking on the Help icon opens an independent window with online help information, as in this example. Now, let's return to the Designer option to actually plan a small vegetable garden. If this is your first time using the Garden Master, select the Create New Garden button, then type in a name for your garden, and then press the Create button. Or, if you're reviewing a garden plan you previously made, select the Modify Existing Garden button. Remember, the Garden Master Pro allows you to create multiple garden plans. You are then taken to this introduction screen, which shows you the 9 steps for planning a garden. If you are planning a new garden, you should go through each of the 9 steps in order. You can do this by either clicking on the steps in this area or by clicking on the Next button at the lower right. Many screens also have a Help button and a Print button. The Help button brings up helpful hints for the specific screen you are on. The Print button, when it is highlighted, allows you to print the information on the screen. In this case, the Print button is not highlighted because there is no information on this particular screen that you would want to print out and refer to later. Now, to go to Step 1, we'll press this Next button. In Step 1, we specify the length of growing season for our area. This is important because we need to know the final spring freeze date and the first fall frost date to determine when to sow seeds, transplant seedlings, water, weed, fertilize, and harvest. To do this, first select the state you are in from this drop-down box. In this example, we'll select Utah. Then, select a specific area. In this example, we'll select a Park City area where the 2002 Olympics were held. As we do this, we see that there are on average only 84 days in the growing season for this area. There are over 3,000 areas from which you can choose in the Garden Master. But if you cannot find your exact area, just pick an area close to you, then use this Custom button so you can change the exact spring and fall freeze dates to any other dates you desire. To move on to Step 2, we press the Next button. On this screen, we select a garden plan, including Grow Bed, Grow Box, or Single Row. Clicking on each option reveals related information in this text box immediately below. In this example, we'll select the first option, Grow Bed. Now, to go to step 3, we press the Next button. On this screen, we enter dimensions for our garden plot. In this example, we'll change the default plot size from 40 feet by 40 feet to 24 feet wide by 40 feet long. As we do this, the diagram of the garden changes accordingly, showing only 4 rows. We can also change the row dimensions, which would cause the diagram of the garden plan to change even further. Now here's an important point we want you to remember. If at any time you cannot see a diagram of your garden, or in other words, it disappears, it means that you have entered dimensions which are unrealistic. You can correct this problem by changing the bed dimensions here, or by clicking on this Option button to change the path dimensions both outside and between or inside the beds. Then, once you have entered dimensions that are realistic, the garden diagram will display in this area. To go to step 4, click on the Next button. On this screen, you select the direction of your rows. The default is north to south because this allows for maximum afternoon sun on your rows with the shortest plants. However, you can select from the 4 possible directions to match your actual plot. Now, to go to step 5, click on the Next button. From this screen, you select the specific plants you wish to grow in your vegetable garden. There are over 30 preloaded plants from which to choose, many of which also have individual varieties or growing types. In our example, we'll click on Beans from the available plants list at the left, and then press the Add button. A pop-up window appears, allowing us to choose a specific type of bean. We'll select bush beans, click on the OK button, and we see that the bush beans are added to the selected plants list in this area to the right. In our example, we'll also select broccoli, carrots, corn, head lettuce, vertically grown cantaloupe, and sunflowers. If we want to review information about any of the plants we have selected, click on this Preview Plant button and a separate window appears. Then, click on a specific plant from the list, such as sunflowers, and review the details of the plant in this area to the right, and choose from the various tabs at the bottom to learn more about planting, fertilizing, watering, and so forth. We'll click on the Return button to go back to the main screen. With the Garden Master Pro, this New Plant button is also activated, allowing you to add any number of additional plants, such as hybrid versions of corn and so forth, by merely using the information on the seed packets. Then, to go to the next step, we'll click on the Next button so the Place Plants screen appears, showing all zeros in this case since we have not yet placed individual plant quantities in our garden. To do this, we select the Place Plants button and a separate Garden Plan Details screen appears, listing our previously selected plants in order of height, which is important for maximum afternoon sun. If we wish to change the order of any of these plants, we use the Priority button here. But we'll just stay with our default list and follow the numbers on this screen to place each of our plants. So, first we select sunflowers, then we'll go to this area here and indicate that we want to plant 15 feet of sunflowers in our grow bed. As we do this, we see that 15 feet will require 10 plants, yielding approximately 5 pounds of sunflower seeds. Remember, we can either indicate the number of feet as we did here, or we can choose how many plants we want to grow. Either way, we are given in real time the estimated feet, number of plants, and yield so that we can make any adjustments as needed. In our example, we've continued this process by adding 30 feet of corn and 15 feet each of melons, broccoli, beans, carrots, and lettuce. Now, to see what our garden will look like, we simply press the View Garden button and a screen similar to this appears, which we can expand and print if we want. Notice that the plants are placed in order of height, row by row, making it very easy for us to know where to plant all of our vegetables. To go to the next step, we press the Return buttons to close the subscreens, and then press the Next button so that the Preview Calendar screen appears, displaying any actions that need to be taken on today's date. We can also select the View Calendar button and enter a specific date, such as May 5th in this example, to see what needs to be done for our garden on that particular day. But there's even more. We can press this Print button from this screen, select the Date Range Radio button, and by putting in our last spring frost date, for example, June 16th, and then, let's say 1 month later, July 16th, a detailed list appears, which can be scrolled down to view what needs to happen to each row, day by day, during the selected 1-month range. This is a very useful feature, and some parents have even reported to us that they use this feature to assign their children individual rows to care for. To move on to the next step, we click on the Next button and the Order Supply screen appears. This screen gives a general idea of the amount of seeds, fertilizers, and micronutrients we'll need to actually execute our garden plan. Remember, the fertilizer quantities listed here are only approximations and will vary based on the specific fertilizers you use. Now, to move on to the final step, Step 9, we select the Next button so the Keep Records screen appears. From this screen, we can select and print out useful tools to help us maintain a hard copy of our garden plan. To save our garden plan, we merely click on this Finish button and a reminder pops up telling us that our garden plan is being saved to the working path which we specified earlier and which we can change at any time from the File drop-down option of the main menu. Our garden is now saved, and we can recall it at other times to revise it or to print out specific calendar information and so forth as our gardening season progresses. Remember, with the Garden Master Pro, you can save multiple garden plans, which is helpful for garden enthusiasts who wish to change and save multiple plans each year. We hope you have enjoyed this training video, and we encourage you to view it as often as you need to. Remember, there is a well-documented user manual and online help screens which you can refer to at any time. Thank you for purchasing the Garden Master CD, and we hope you can now enjoy vegetable gardening at its best. Introduction to Grow Bed Gardening. The grow bed method of gardening was developed by Dr. Jacob Mittleider and is a result of over 30 years of experience in more than 30 countries around the world. Grow beds use your natural soil and are 18 inches wide and usually 30 feet long. There is a 3.5-foot walkway between each bed and 5 feet at each end for easy access to the garden. Each bed can have 1 or 2 rows depending on the type of plants. For example, lettuce is grown in 2 rows per bed, while larger plants like melons are grown in only a single row per bed. Each bed is watered and fertilized right down the middle of the bed. Watering can be accomplished with either a garden hose, which is covered with a rag at the end, or automated using PVC pipe, which has small holes drilled in it. There are extremely high yields in grow bed gardening because water and specially prepared fertilizer are applied according to a very strict schedule. Also, some plants like melons, cucumbers, and tomatoes are grown vertically, which conserves garden space. For this reason, Dr. Mittleider has successfully grown grow bed gardens throughout the world in some of the worst soils and climates. The most exciting thing about grow bed gardening is that anyone can do it. You can do it in your own backyard with just a few tools. All the knowledge you need is covered in the basic Mittleider lessons. There is also a software-based garden wizard which leads you through the steps of designing your garden. It then automatically lays out your garden design and customizes a daily calendar. All you need to be successful is a little bit of soil, just 18 inches wide for one bed, a little bit of fertilizer, and just a few minutes to tend your garden. So start today by growing your garden the Mittleider way.